The Jesus Trilogy, Book 2, Then There Were Two, Chapter 16. Jesus and Mary spent a blissful 4-day honeymoon on the eastern shore of the Sea of Galilee. There were no incidents on the ferry, and everything was perfect. Jesus was a novice at lovemaking, but Mary guided him through the first time with her warm kisses, and the two were never happier. They loved and swam, and loved and ate, and loved and slept, and loved and talked. Jesus and Mary couldn't believe how wonderful God was to have made the institution of marriage. To learn to know someone intimately, their dreams, their needs, and their desires was so wonderful. Jesus wanted to spend his whole life doing just that. He knew he would have to throw in a little work and Mary a little study. But he would count the hours each day until he could see her smile each evening and feel her warmth each night. He didn't know how it would be when Mary went to school, but they'd manage. It was only a month away, a day both dreaded. Jesus worked harder than ever after the honeymoon. Though Mary had a full scholarship, she would need money for living expenses, scrolls, and other incidentals. Though business was good, there were a lot of mouths to feed. Mary, his mother, had needs, and Rach and the baby were home a lot with the wrestler on the road so much. Jennifer always wanted new clothes, and the kind-hearted Jesus could never say no. Josh's fledgling construction firm was doing okay, but occasionally he needed a favor from his little brother. An extra ceiling beam at the last minute or some other similar emergency request, and of course there was seldom any reimbursement. It was all in the family, Josh would say. When Mary studied at night, Jesus would also study. He had voracious appetite for the prophetic scrolls. He read them over and over. He was particularly interested in Isaiah. His reading crystallized his conviction that he was the Messiah. But from everything he read, it sounded like this Messiah was going to have a very difficult life. Eventually, Isaiah intimated that the Messiah would die. There were also hints that the Messiah would be resurrected. He had no idea why or how this would happen. How could a Messiah die? What good would a dead Messiah be? Wasn't he supposed to lead his people out of captivity and overthrow the Roman scourge? Jesus had seen some of the Roman cruelty and mistreatment firsthand, and he didn't like it one bit. In preparation for a future life, he had been doing a little reading, and he had taken some classes last fall given by Chan Lin at the school. Karate, it was called, a new type of self-defense. It was Greek to the Romans, but Jesus was very lithe and agile. He not only picked it up very well, but he also liked it. The enigma of his study was the writings of the great prophet Daniel. At the end of Daniel's book, Daniel had been told by God to seal up the book until the time of the end. Why was all the information sealed up? He had deduced that there were 4 kingdoms being talked about, and that the 4th kingdom was Rome, the current world controller. But then there was this kingdom of iron and clay, and then one after that. He would smash all previous ones and gain full control of the world. How long would the iron and clay kingdom last? Couldn't be very long if he was to take over, no more than 30 years. He just didn't know, but he would try and be ready. Though a lover and not a fighter, he would prepare himself physically as well as mentally. He'd also begun to pray more than ever before, at least up until his marriage. But now, loving his beautiful bride took up that time. It was so wonderful he didn't think God would mind too much. Before marriage, his mind would run in circles nightly. Sometimes he couldn't sleep. Sometimes he would wake up in the middle of the night, and some problem he had been unable to solve would take up much of his sleep time. Loving Mary was so wonderful. He now went about the wonderful process of learning to love her. All her unique quirks and nuances. He had never been so happy and so relaxed. His short 18-year life had already had its share of twists and turns, but he had come to realize that God was watching out for him. He would overcome any obstacle, and as his favorite Bible writer, the psalmist, said, "My cup runneth over."